Good evening, everybody. We're going to be reacting to Rob Walter's thoughts and Aiden Markram's thoughts ahead of the T20 World Cup. So, we are going to be listening to their press conferences or their interviews that they've had after the West Indies series ahead of this T20 World Cup. Obviously, journalists ask certain questions, and the coach as well as the captain have responded to them, and we're going to react to that live on the show. Each individual question we're going to dive into. If anything obviously of note is spoken about, we're going to dive into those things and see what they have to say and what the camp is feeling heading into this particular tournament. So it's going to be a very important episode. It's the first time we're going to hear from the captain, and we're going to also hear the coach now closer to the World Cup after he's seen the West Indies performance, and we're going to get his thoughts on that as well. So we're going to hear all of that on today's show. So that's what the show is going to be about today. So, but before we get going, before we get started, please subscribe to the channel if you're new and click that notification bell for all future videos. We are getting closer to that next milestone of 5,000 subscribers. We're not very far away, so please go ahead and check that out and get that subscriptions going. Also, smash the like button, comment, and share. We need your help with that because that's the only way we're going to get into recommended feeds. I urge all of you guys, after this video is finished streaming and the live show is over, for you to leave your thoughts in the comment section as well, because that really helps the videos and it really helps the channel to spread. Especially with the new YouTube algorithms, it will really help us out a lot if you guys can comment on the videos after it's been live, as well as smash that like button too, and share it as well with any other South African cricket enthusiasts that you know, fans that you know. We also have a monthly magazine, which is Cricket Fanatics Magazine Monthly. Every single issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. The latest issue is on the screen right now. Go get your copy, go have a read. You can also read all back issues 100% free. But this is a very a complete, I feel, at least, edition that really gives you a nice overall thought of South Africa's chances in the World Cup and what fans think about it going into this particular tournament, and various other comments as well in this particular issue. So, without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. I'm looking forward to hearing what Aiden Markram and Rob Walter have to say, and let's react to their presses ahead of the T20 World Cup. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily cricket show. I'm your host, Khalid, and this is the show where we're going to be reacting to Aiden Markram and Rob Walter's thoughts ahead of the T20 World Cup. I have the audio file of Rob Walter waiting for us right now, so we can get stuck into it. It is a little bit of a lengthy one, so I think we should get into the thoughts straight away. And start listening to what they have had to say. So let's get into it. Let's have a listen and hear what they say. I'm very interested to hear what his thoughts were after that West Indies series as well. So let's give it a listen. Let's have in-depth discussion in the live chat on what he had to say.
We'll start off with Nathan.
Well, thank you very much, Lucy. Good day. Rob, how would you assess the team's performance? Because, I mean, both teams missed a few players. Second part to that question, are you happy with the preparations and lead up to the World Cup, especially with a large crop of players not being available for the Windy series? Basically, what I'm asking is this team ready and capable of winning the World Cup?
Yeah, look, assessment of the series, obviously it was a tough one. As you said, both teams missing some key players. From a prep point of view, very different prep ours versus theirs, but still a great opportunity for the younger guys that came across to play against some world-class T20 players, which is great. These tours are never, they're never unnecessary, and they also don't go, you get great value out of them for those guys that do get to play. So that was awesome. From a preparation point of view, look, for the most part, you're dealing with a side who have got a lot of experienced players from a T20 point of view. Yes, coming together in different stages, but I don't think that's dissimilar to a number of teams. I like the preparation for the World Cup to look a lot different. Of course, I would. The 50 over World Cup prep was looked very different to this. But it is what it is, and this is the cards that are dealt. So we have to be ready. And absolutely believe we can win a World Cup. Believe we've got the players to do that. And as I said, there's other teams that are in a similar position to us. So we can't bemoan our situation. We rather have to focus on what's in front of us.
Yeah, and I think that's all they can do. Look, the West Indies second string T20 players are a lot better than South Africa's. So that is something that we need to take a look at as well. There is no excuses for a team like for the performance, really, other than you can say that there was a lot of inexperience in that batting lineup. But we have to take the positives out of it. For example, that we did get some game time under the belt for the likes of Annick Nokia, Otniel Bartman, Ryan Rickelton, Quentin de Kock, Risa Hendricks, etc. Those guys that are part of the World Cup squad, Gerald Coetzee as well. So at least that was one positive. And Bjorn Fortuin, who's also part of the squad. But the performance wasn't that great. But we need to move on and look ahead. We have a very good squad, I feel, that was selected for this particular World Cup. So we need to start trying to live up to expectations now. A lot of people might say that we're going into this World Cup a little bit as the underdogs. But that tends to be the case for the last couple of World Cups now, that South Africa's always kind of gone into the World Cup as underdogs. I feel that we're a lot further off. I think it's going to be a lot further off. We're a lot further ahead than being underdogs. I think with that middle order that we have and the experience in the bowling attack and the experience that we do have in that middle order, even I would say in our batting lineup in general, there's only really maybe one player in our batting lineup that is not that experienced internationally, and that's Tristan Stubbs. So I feel we are a lot better off than we were in the previous World Cup. So I would expect more from this team actually in this particular World Cup. But let's get more of Rob's thoughts. This is not my presser.
Thanks, Nathan. Next up, we're going to go, it does say Manus, but it is Johan de Jager.
Hi, Coach. Are you happy with the preparation? And is there an update on the guys? I know it was precautionary with the niggles. Is there an update on the players who had niggles?
Yeah, those with niggles should be good to go. Otniel bowled yesterday to raise that a day off yesterday, having bowled a day of the last game. So, we will assess today at training, but everything seems to be on track.
Okay, that's brilliant. At least everybody's fit.
Thanks. Next up, Amir, then Heinz.
Hi, good afternoon, Coach. Thank you for the opportunity. Coach, given what we've seen in the IPL and the way the T20 game is going, or the direction that it's going, we've seen how fast starts can bolster a team either in a run chase or in setting a target. Could you just speak to us about how much that has been part of the team's conversations over the last couple of days or weeks even?
I guess you have to, always be aware of the way the game is trending. So IPL certainly would have changed that a little bit. But I have mentioned, the impact of the impact play in IPL. It does have an influence as to how teams play. That's not the case, obviously, in the World Cups. So there might be a slight change, but I still believe that the game has now changed. So from our point of view, you don't need to speak to a guy like Quentin de Kock, Ryan Rickelton, or Risa Hendricks as to fast starts and playing aggressively at the top. I think they do that naturally, and we saw that in this last series. So, I think teams might have slight little things here and there that they're trying to do differently, but for the most part, the way that the game's getting played is in front of us.
And that's something that I feel that it has improved from a South African perspective from previous World Cups. We've complained about not having guys that can hit at a high strike rate. And I feel that now, from number 1 till 6, even you could say to an extent Marco Jansen when he does come off too, we have players that can reach a high strike rate and score quickly. So good starts are more possible on the cards now more than ever. Riza Hendricks' game has transformed magnificently, and we know Akwini naturally plays the game. Aiden Markram, he's an adaptable player, and I always said we need an adaptable player at 3 that can go quickly in the power. If you get an early wicket, he can go quickly and recover by keeping up the intensity. Or if we lose the wicket and with not much on the board, and we need someone to anchor an innings, Aiden Markram can do that too. But then we have a ruthless middle order, and I feel that Tristan Stubbs, Hendrik Klaassen, David Miller, they are fantastic batters. So from a batting performance, we need to be very confident in the way we can set up, and obviously with the personnel that we have available to us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Samir. We're going to go Heinz.
Hi, Rob. Hope all's well. I'm pretty sure you know it comes with the territory when a high-stake tournament emerges and stuff. There's obviously been a lot of, I almost want to say, reactionary reaction to the way Anrich's been bowling at the moment. It wasn't easy on those slowest pitches, probably for a guy of his pace and stuff. Just what are your guys' frame of mind? You know, what is his, in terms of that? And is it just a case of him just bowling onwards, in the build up to the tournament and just keeping calm almost, I want to say?
Yeah, it's a strange one. This game's a funny game. I mean, I obviously spent a week with him, and I genuinely don't feel he's too far away, to be honest. But the conditions really have not been against him. They've been tough conditions for a fast bowler. And coming up against a side who were pretty brutal, to be honest, if you were off the mark. So, and I think he would probably experience the exact same thing, having come off a break into his first 4 games at the IPL. So he's probably landed himself in a perfect storm, which in many ways can harden you and get you even more ready. So, yeah, I still don't believe he's very far away. A world-class performer finds a way, and I don't doubt that he will as well.
Okay, so that's good to hear that Coach Rob has belief in Anrich. But I'm going to say something maybe a little bit controversial over here, but I feel that the conditions are kind of going to paper over those cracks from a bowling perspective. If I'm going to analyze this properly and look at the facts in the situation, we know that we're going to be playing on a lot slower wickets. And I feel that spinners are going to dominate a lot more, I think, in this World Cup than previous ones. And I do think that kind of saves South Africa in a way, and it kind of papers over the cracks, like I've said before, where you have a situation in the team makeup where you can play a 8 that is a fast bowler, and then spinners, and then spinners in the team, 2 spinners, and then another seamer. So I feel that they're going to have to pick between the likes of Anrich, Otniel Bartman, and decide on who they're going to go with regards to that. But even with regards to Gerald Coetzee, deciding whether they're going to play him or they're going to play KG Rabada, that's going to be a decision that I feel that's going to be made as well, because I feel that those two are the most informed bowlers between the two. They both provide different attributes. So does Anrich, and so does Otniel. So the decisions are going to have to be made, and I feel that we are going to see at least 2 of those seamers sit on the bench for an extra spinner. Keshav Tabriz will probably play a lot of the games. We might even see the likes of Bjorn Fortuin as well get them into the mix. But based on Rob's previous comments in a previous video that we did, he did emphasize Aiden Markram's ability with the ball. So that kind of makes me feel that he doesn't always necessarily have to pick 3 spinners if the wicket dictates that, because you have Aiden Markram in the team. So you can really balance the team out nicely with maybe an extra seamer in the side, because we only have really one all-rounder, bowling all-rounder, batting all-rounder, whatever you want to call it. We only really have one legitimate all-rounder in this team, in the setup. So it's not like we can throw in an extra all-rounder into the mix to strengthen that batting lineup. The only way we can do that is by throwing an extra batter in and shifting people down. So those are the kind of decisions that we're gonna have to see Rob make.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Heinz. And Nathan, before we go for your follow-up, we'll go with Keenan and then yourself.
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, Rob. Just in terms of you mentioned Ryan Rickleton, Quinton de Kock, and Riese Hendricks. Do you see them as the openers? Speaking specifically about Rickleton, or is he a possibility to bat at 3 like he did against West Indies? Or is that position for Aiden Markram? Is that his position? Could you just elaborate on your thoughts there? And then also, secondly, how excited are you for the middle order, the way it's shaping up? Everyone seems to be on form and performing well. Is that do you think one of the trump cards headed into the tournament?
Yeah, as far as the opening pair or top 3, it's very much balance related. I don't think it's out of the question that we could see Ryan and Quinny playing. Again, totally balance dependent on how we want to stack our team up. And then as far as the middle order goes, yeah, of course, who wouldn't be excited, by Markram, Klassen, Miller, Stubbs, and Janssen. So we just need to keep those guys hungry, keep them fresh, climb on the back of the momentum that they've built up with their games. I mean, those performances are not by luck. Been a lot of hard work developing their games in order to play that way. So we're just looking forward to them doing it for green and gold now. They've been doing it for a bunch of different colors, but now it's green and gold's time. So that's exciting.
I just
Thanks,
spoke about
Keenan.
that.
We're going to go Nathan, then Morgan, and then I just want to check, Amir, just let me know as well if that's an old hand or a new hand.
Yes,
So,
I do have a follow-up, yes, but
super. We'll go Nathan, Morgan, Amir, and then look to wrap with Heinz.
Thank you very much again, Lucy. Rob, you spoke about trends. The England Cricket Board pulled their players out in the IPL players for the World Cup prep. Would you have liked to have those players, or does the IPL take preference? I mean, give us your thoughts on pulling out players for the national team.
I think we're in a different position to them in terms of having access to those players. There's a number of reasons for that. Some of it's very well above my pay grade. So, but as I said, as a head coach, what's your ideal? The ideal is to have your players together. You have a nice lead in. You do things the way you want to do them, and you get yourself ready for a World Cup. That's not our reality, and I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with the players and the maturity that they have. So, yeah, I mean, it sort of seems to be going around in circle. I certainly would have liked to have had the players together for a bit more time. It's not our reality, and we aren't able to do that. So we just get ready.
Thanks, Nathan. Morgan?
Yeah, there's not much we can do about
Thanks,
that.
Lucy. Hi, Rob. Rob, just your assessment of Otniel's performance. He was one of those guys thrown into the deep end in this tour to the Windies, and a guy that's going to the World Cup, and he looks like he's just a guy that really steps up when it's asked of him.
Yeah, I mean, he performed excellently well. Continues to perform excellently well. So I'm very excited by what Otniel's brought to the side. Very simple and very highly talented and skilled individual who sort of slides under the radar really in terms of the job that he's doing. And he bowls in sort of the toughest parts of the game and finds a way to get it done well. So yeah, very, very, very excited by what he did and the skill set that he has.
For me, Otniel's a starter. His skill set is exactly what we've been lacking for so many years in the South African bowling attack. So for me, Otniel's a starter, personally. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Thanks, Morgan. I'm going to go Heinz and then wrap with Amir. Also, apologies, it's supposed to be the other way around. Amir, then Heinz.
it's fine.
Amir, go ahead.
Can I go? Okay. Yeah, just to follow on from my earlier question and what you mentioned, what you spoke about, Coach, the middle order, the excitement of having Heinrich Klaassen, Stubbo Miller, and Marco Jansen. We've seen in the West Indies tour now recently that even with a high-scoring start, the middle order could play quite a key role. It will obviously look quite different in the World Cup than it did in the series that just passed. But if you could speak about the importance of positions 4 and 5 specifically, and those players' abilities to quickly and accurately assess the game situation, and then carry out, whatever plans are made for those specific periods in matches.
Well, there's not much left for me to answer there, Amir, because you've done it pretty well just on your own. But yeah, it is exactly that. Those positions are, very tough positions to play in T20 cricket. I think the top of the order is not, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's easier in terms of its requirements because you know exactly what is needed. It's pretty consistent in terms of how you have to play. And then 4 and 5, even 3 at times, have to really respond well to where the game is at, the conditions and what's needed in the game itself from a positional point of view. So the game through from start to finish requires a high level of skill now, and but those guys in terms of their adaptability are critical.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Amir. Heinz, Johan, we will squeeze yours in, and then that is officially the last question.
Rob, sorry, just also a follow-up on Heinrich, regardless of where he is and stuff, and without giving too much of a game plan away. If he is on song, what do you guys ideally want from him? Do you believe he can be more nuanced, or is it really about actually exploiting that one thing that he has that many other teams don't, and that is just absolute full-out pace?
Yeah, I mean, the ideal is to use every person's X factor to the best of our ability. But the game is so fluid. So I think you have a starting idea of how you want to use him, and then the game tells you what is required. So, but always, if we weren't using his X factor, which is his pace, then what
What's
would
the
we be
point?
using? So. Definitely always looking to use that 150 plus speed that he has, but he's more than that really, and he's developed a good set of skills from a slow ball point of view. So I do believe he can bowl on different surfaces and in different positions of the game. But his main job is to strike really and break the game open, and then finish it and then close it out.
Yeah, and that's kind of a job. I mean, closing it out, not, but with regards to striking, that's Gerald Coetzee's kind of role as well. So, like I said, there's going to be decisions that's going to have to be made here by Rob, difficult ones, on who is he going to play in that bowling attack. And sometimes he's going to have to leave out a seamer for a spinner if the conditions dictate that. And I hope that we read the conditions correctly and we play the best lineup according to that conditions.
Thanks again, Rob.
Sure.
Thanks, Hein. And then Johan, to wrap us up.
Hello, Johan.
Johan, we can't hear you, so there we go. I think you've unmuted yourself.
Rob, tomorrow you play intra-squad match, but what happened to the official warm-up match? Would you be happier to play against opposition?
Yeah, it was a difficult one. We originally had a warm-up game scheduled for the 28th, but just with the IPL unfolding the way it was, as well as this tour in the West Indies, it would have meant that we played the 24th, 25th, 26th, travelled on the 27th, and then played on the 28th with being unsure as to who was going to arrive when from the IPL. So it just wasn't tenable to us to play a game on the 28th, to be honest. And then our next game was shifted and changed and then it fell away. So that was out of our control. So we would have loved to have had one warm-up game. But again, guys, it's not like we've been short of playing. Those that weren't at the IPL, played in these games now, barring the guys who had a few niggles. And from an inter-squad point of view, it's more in a scenarios-based training, which actually allows us to shape things the way we want to. In a game against an opposition, if you get out in the first over, it's kind of you done for the day. However, if we've got our scenario-based training and our inter-squads, we can sort of shape it the way we want to. So not too unhappy. We've used these types of trainings to good effect in the past. So, and we'll trust on our sort of match readiness based on the amount of cricket the guys have been playing.
Thanks, coach.
Great. Thanks, Johan, and thanks everyone for
Okay,
joining
that's
us.
that.
And of course, Rob.
So that's the Rob Walter part of the conversation. Let's get into the comment section quickly. Let me just see what some of you guys have had to say according to that. Chatil says, only thing that could have gone worse for SA is Vian Mulder being picked on domestic form, which he never lost. Lawrence says the drop in pitches in New York will suit Andrich. Those type of pitches are normally has a very good pace and bounce. And against the likes of Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and the Dutch, I feel Rob will unleash Andrich. That's a very good point. Chatil says Nokia has been exceptionally in World T20s, so understandable why they gave him the benefit of the doubt, even though he looks way off currently. Lawrence says, yep, there you go. I did say, don't be surprised if we see a Rix at 3 and Quinton opening somewhere in the tournament. Random fanboy says, it sounds like Rob's voice is putting himself to sleep. Yeah, he does have a very subdued voice, I would say. Dex obviously backing his boy Quinton, saying Quinton will come good. Waka saying Rob has to make some brave decisions. Sam says, Khalid, I don't want to see that Rob starting with Quinton Kakariza opening and Quinton at 3. I don't think this should be our start. Give Stubbs chance and Aiden at 3. Stubbs and Aiden will both play in the starting 11. So I don't think that we have to worry about Stubbs not playing. I think Stubbs will play every game, in my opinion. Chatil says, Khalid, do you think that SA will miss Pavuma's leadership this time? He has captained last 3 events to good success and achieved a lot of first. From a leadership perspective, I've always really respected Temba Bavuma, but I did feel that selecting him from a batting perspective is where we lost a lot of games, is because of that, not having a guy that can really strike in the power play consistently. And with Riza Hendricks being the one to fall out of the team where he's the most informed guy. So I think Aiden still has a lot to learn as a captain, but I do think he has enough understanding of this particular unit. And I do think that he has a lot of respect within this dressing room to be the guy that we need for as a captain in this World Cup. NY Time says, Kani says, I'm not backing Quinton de Kock as usual. NY Time Square says that it's probable to play all batsmen and Marco at 8, and with Maharaja Rabada and Nokia or Bartman. Dependable where you're playing, of course, but we need to find a way on how to get those spinners in if we getting obviously those type of conditions. Pratik says, will this be SA's World Cup? They surely have the team. I'm hoping that it will be. I mean, this is probably one of our best chances, I feel. It's the most balanced side we've picked in a very long time. Let me get into Aiden Markram's presser, and let's start to have that discussion as well, because I think that it is time for that. How do I do that now? I'll have to go here and Aiden. Cool. So let's have a listen to this one.
Well, normally they say your bowlers win your competitions and batters win your games, but you sort of have to puzzle everything together to win a World Cup, I would think. So, yeah, the first thing that came to mind was obviously our bowlers are going to be tested. Like you mentioned, guys are coming hard now with the bat, and I think if your bowlers have their skills and plans in place, you can almost get one step ahead of the rest.
Thanks, Johan. Nathan?
Thank you, Lucy. Good day. Aiden, do you still remember what happened 10 years ago at the World Cup?
Vaguely, yeah, obviously.
I'll get to my question. Not only did you obviously captain the side to glory, as another fellow Protea captain was with you. Aiden, with that being said, again, you are the captain at a World Cup. Do you feel the Proteas will have what it takes to win it and break the tag of being chokers at major events?
So he's asking about the captaincy, you guys, and you asked about the captaincy and Bavuma. So he's going to answer this question now about the captaincy.
I definitely think we have what it takes. It's a World Cup. It's a really high level of cricket, and I think this group has now been together for quite a few years, and we've shown through many performances in the past few years that we're able to beat the best in the world. So I'm quietly confident that this team has what it takes to win the World Cup, and I think once we're able to get that first elusive one, I think potentially quite a few could follow after that.
Thanks, Nathan. Stu?
Morning, Aiden. Very simple question, two parts. What do you think will be the biggest challenge for you captaining at a tournament for the first time? And what do you think you are looking forward to the most as captain?
I think, yeah, naturally the responsibilities, the off-field responsibilities that you have as a captain at ICC events generally are a little bit more hectic and more busy. So I suppose just managing that, but we've got a great team in place here to make my life a lot easier in that regard, and allows me to focus on the cricket side of things, but managing energies into the sort of right areas that will ideally allow the team to do really well. But it's not too much different for a captain. I don't think your main focus is to keep the team in a really positive and good space, and ideally help everyone believe that they're backed, which obviously we've proved to the team now. So a challenge as always, but a challenge like I've mentioned before that I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, off the field stuff is going to be obviously very important.
Thanks, Stu. Hi.
Hi, Aiden. Hope you're well. You just mentioned that ICC tournaments tend to be a bit busier. I was just wondering what your thoughts are on the tweak in the format. Do you think it's a kind of nice addition to have the Super 8s this season?
I do enjoy it, yes. Naturally, it's including more teams, obviously, but also it gives you a great opportunity to still progress in the competition if you lose potentially one game. I think of 2021 World Cup, I think it was in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, where we won 4 out of 5 and still weren't really able to qualify. So when you have sort of different stages of the competition, I think you block them off and you try sort of tick each challenge and phase as you move, and then ideally see where it gets you in the competition.
Thanks, Hi. Ongama, then Nathan.
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, Aiden. I don't think anyone can question the talent and the potential of any Proteas World Cup squad. But it still remains that we haven't won a World Cup. You know, looking back to Adelaide 2022 last year in India as well. What have we learned from those games? And then in terms of big games and handling pressure, and what are we going to do differently this time around to make sure that we win the World Cup? How do we do this?
Sort of on field and from a planning point of view, not a lot changes. We always keep a lot of focus on ourselves as a team, obviously still respecting the opposition, but we've had a few pressure games that potentially, especially at a World Cup where we haven't got over the line in the past year or two. So we've tried to simulate it as best as we can from a preparation point of view, and ideally when we get there, and hopefully we can get it right this time. But we've all been playing now a lot of cricket. Some guys have been playing different leagues, different competitions, series deciders where there is extra pressure, and we're hoping that we can draw from that experience, and that can help us if we get to that stage.
Yeah, I think that this team just needs to find a way on how to build a cohesion now. The one thing about this squad, which I like a lot, is that I feel that these players get along very well off the field, and they also respect each other on the field. So I do like that there are a lot of players in this squad that know each other's games well and have a good relationship off the field. I've seen these guys interact with each other, and I don't think there's anybody or bad apple in this squad, or in this team. I think they get along with each other very, very well. I was very impressed with Aiden's captaincy in the SA20 and the way he rallied that team together. And he has that type of personality. He has an infectious personality where he does get people to come together, and it does it with an honest and straightforward approach. You guys will see this Aiden Markram over here, and he's very humble, very not soft spoken. You could say soft spoken, but very humble, very respectable. But Aiden does have a a streak to him where he can get serious and demand excellence, and he does have not it's not an aggressive side, but it's more of a, how can I say, it's not aggression that I'm talking about, but he does have a motivational side to him where he can be quite firm, a firm side to him where he can get the best out of these players, I feel. So his personality that you see over here, he does have another edge to it where he can get the teams riled up. I've seen him in situations when he's talking to a team in a team environment, in a dressing room, for example, like you saw back behind the scenes footage at the SA20 of him speaking to the team as well. I've also been at games where you get to hear, you kind of get, if I'm sitting close by to the teams and the huddles, you can hear them actually him speaking to the team and getting his message across. So, yeah, I think that this is probably our best chance in a World Cup, and I like the positivity within the squad, and I like the coherency in the squad. I do think they have a very good culture in this particular 15 or to 17 players.
Thanks, Ngama. Talbot?
Thanks, Lucy. How's it going? That World Cup that you helped South Africa with 10 years ago, the game and yourself, I'm sure it has changed vastly as a player since then. But, you know, is there something that you can draw from that example? You are the only South African team to have won a World Cup. Is there something you can take from that and put it into this equation?
To be honest, Telford, I don't take too much from it. I see it as a completely different level of cricket. Obviously, it was a really long time ago. There is obviously a small element of belief and confidence you could potentially take from it, but for me, it's this. If we win this World Cup, for me, that'll be the first World Cup that we win. So it's not to disregard what we did at under 19 level at all.
Okay, so obviously asking about what he can take from captaining under 19 to the World Cup. Sorry that the audio of the questions is so soft. That's not on me, guys. This is the file that we've been sent. But yeah, he's now comparing it and saying that you can't really take too much from it.
A massive achievement for us and one that we are still incredibly proud of. But I think this one would certainly mean a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, that's spot on, I think.
Thanks, Talbot. Nathan, just want to check if that's a new hand or an old hand.
Yes, please, Lucy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much again. Aiden, you guys have had 2 training sessions, an internal match, and an offshore training session on Monday. In terms of the conditions, there is an unknown factor, which is the pitch. Can you briefly give us your thoughts on the US surface so far?
He's talking about the surfaces now. If you guys can't hear the question, he's asked about the surfaces and what the conditions are like there. Guys, I don't have the scorecard for the internal match. I can't find it in the inter-squad match. I can't find it anywhere, and we haven't been sent it, so I have no clue what actually happened in that game. But according to Rob Walter, I don't think it's a game where there's going to be really a scorecard per se, because they were using the intra-squad match as to set up certain scenarios on the pitch. So from my understanding of that is they probably would have set up certain scenarios, for example, chase 20 in 12 or chase 30 in 12 and put yourself into the situations and kind of try to balance out certain match situations and try to act him out in the middle. So I think that's how they would approach it rather than a conventional match, I think. Because, I mean, our squad is not big enough to have an 11-11. So, yeah, that's what I think would have possibly happened.
Yeah,
There's
we
Aiden
only
on the
joined yesterday,
questions.
so it's a bit of a tough one to answer now. But if I looked at how we sort of operated in our internal match yesterday, it still looked pretty good for batting. I don't think the wickets will be as quick as they are potentially at home and maybe in a place like Australia, but that's just the feeling that I got yesterday watching that game. So we're going to have to really pick up as much info as we can along the way, watch warm-up games that might be being played there in New York, where we're playing 3 of our games, and take as much information from that before the game as we can. So it's still a tricky one to answer, but we certainly need to assess and adapt probably a lot quicker than we used to in conditions that we don't know.
And that's the only, I would say that is probably the biggest downfall of not being able to play warm-up matches, because now South Africa is going to have to learn on the bounce, like Aiden said. And where other teams are going to have a little bit more of an edge because they would have played some warm-up matches in these conditions to try and understand it. So they're going to have to watch those games very closely, actually. These warm-up matches are going to be very important for the Proteas to analyze. And I think their analytical team, their analysts, etc., need to make sure that they take note of that and that they watch those games very carefully to see how those pitches play. And we play majority of our games in New York. So if the rumors are true about New York, that it is going to be more of a faster type of wicket, that generally black soil and stuff like that and dropping pitches normally have good wickets, generally decent wickets, and not necessarily always slow. Given that the curator is also very experienced in Australia, so we're gonna have to wait and see how those pitches are going to play up. But they're going to have to. That's why the importance. I've always put an emphasis on being able to read conditions, and this team has gone on a journey of that, and a journey and learning of that, both in the test side as well as in this white ball side. So I think that we are prepared to be able to. We have the right mix of people in this particular team that can really assess it properly.
Thanks. We're going to go Heinz in for those.
Aiden, just sort of on preparation and also just talking about how cricket has changed and stuff. There's been a lot of talk about how you guys were scattered as a squad, you know, and basically all you guys only came together yesterday and stuff. But the point has been made before that one shouldn't perhaps be too perturbed or worried about game time and even rhythm, you know, as a team, because everybody has been playing their fair amount of cricket. So as a guy who was at the IPL, do you also feel like question marks over, you know, actually rhythm and being together and having a build-up is perhaps a bit, you know, overemphasized, actually, particularly in this new world order of cricket?
I think that way of potentially doing things how it used to be in terms of doing a proper build-up as a squad might get a bit more challenging moving forward. I agree with that. For us, we want to be together as much as we can before any series or any World Cup, but there are challenges with that. So you sort of just go with what you get given time-wise and preparation-wise, but we are getting more used to doing things like that. I think guys are getting used to rocking up at tournaments, spending a couple of days training and then getting straight into the competition, and sort of it being in drips and drabs. But we'd obviously love to spend more time together from a preparation and build-up point of view, but having said that, there's obvious reasons why that can become a bit of a challenge.
And like I said before, I don't think this team necessarily needs as much of a camp and lead up. I feel that these players know each other well enough. And like I said, I feel that they get along well with each other off the pitch as well. There's a good synergy amongst each player in this team. The culture is really good amongst these players. So I don't think that that will be too much of an issue. I don't think they need like a week or a month to get together and build a culture within the squad. I think that they naturally have that. I've seen, like, for example, even between the youngsters and the older guys, Quinton has a very good relationship with Tristan Stubbs and Gerald Kutsia and the younger guys as well. So does Riza with Bjorn and some of the other players. Aiden has a good relationship with basically everybody. So it, I think that the culture within the squad is really good. And it's almost like when you have that best friend that you haven't seen in years and you come together and you just start talking, and it's like you've never missed that the time's never passed, and it's like you've the very first it's like the good old days again, and you can have great conversations and laugh, and there's good synergy. I feel that this squad is like that in a way. They can be apart for a while and come together and just get to know each other and just have fun together. So uh, because also they had to play together. Also, a lot of them played together in COVID times where they had to spend hours and days on end in a bubble with no outside interaction. So I think they've built a really strong bond. On majority of the players in this team have.
Thanks, Heinz. For those, then Ken.
Hi, Aiden, as one of the guys who's been at the IPL, what would you say is the biggest thing you can take from that tournament and apply at a World Cup?
What the question is, what can they take from the IPL that they can apply to this T20 World Cup?
Probably just it's your typical on-field challenges and lessons that you learn at an IPL. Guys that do really well, I think of Classy and Stubbsy, taking a lot of confidence from the IPL into the World Cup, and guys that potentially didn't have the IPL they would have wanted will be able to take a lot of lessons. So probably those two things. Obviously, from a conditions point of view, I see it being quite different to IPL, so you can't take too much from that point of view, but confidence lessons and probably trying to gain as much clarity as you can going into the World Cup through match time that you played in IPL or whichever series building up to the World Cup, I think can help us.
Thanks for those, Johan.
Well, Aiden's form hasn't been that great, so let's just hope that he can find his form now from game one in this World Cup. He's going to need a very good opening performance. I think it will just elevate the whole team and him as a captain.
Aiden, will you guys be on Saturday at the match between India and Bangladesh in New York?
I know that Rob's going to go, Coach Rob's going to go. It'll probably be an optional thing. I think the schedule's so busy. We're going to need to be training on Monday somehow as well. So it'll probably be an optional thing, but where the guys are there at the venue, we'll probably just watching it back at the hotel to, like I mentioned earlier, gain as much information and knowledge as we can about conditions. I'm sure everyone's going to have their eyes on that game either way.
Yeah, that game's going to tell us a lot.
Thanks, Johan. We're going to go Percy, then look to wrap with Ken.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Good afternoon, Skipper. Maybe can I ask you, you just mentioned that some of you guys, senior players, or some of the senior players joined the squad only yesterday. Do you as a captain, do you carry any baggage of what happened in New Zealand, in West Indies now this past 3 T20 matches, or do you guys simply ignore what happened now in that 3 match series against West Indies?
Asking about whether they're carrying any baggage from the West Indies defeat.
Yeah, certainly no baggage from a series like that. Also, definitely not ignoring it. It was a completely different squad. A young squad coming through where it's fantastic for them to get that experience in international cricket. So they'll be able to take a lot of lessons from that. But for us as a squad here, quite a lot of different faces to that squad that was in West Indies, and we sort of seeing us starting afresh when we get to that first game.
Okay, it's an interesting
Thanks,
take.
Percy, and then over to you, Ken, for the last question. Ken, you're not. You haven't unmuted yourself.
There we go.
So is it me or Percy?
No. Percy has just asked his question. It's over to you.
All right, thanks. Sorry. How's it going? And it was a very different IPL this year. A lot of changes to how things panned out. Taking conditions out of the equation, do you think those changes to the T20 game are going to translate to the World Cup, or do you think it's very different at World Cup level?
I do think it's different at World Cup level. I don't want to say it's very different, but there is a definite difference in how guys are potentially going to play. I still think guys are going to take it on and be aggressive from a batting point of view, but obviously one less batter through that impact player rule in your World Cup team, so almost back to your normal 11-a-side cricket, and I think that does make a bit of a difference. Obviously going to allow for situations to be played and sort of calculating moves and attacks on certain bowlers, potentially not everyone, because you don't have that luxury of extra batters. So there'll be a difference, I feel, Ken, yes, but I think the way the game's moving as well, you can't expect it to be a really big difference.
I think there's a massive difference just purely by the pressure that you feel playing for your country, compared to playing for an IPL team. Let me just get a couple of last comments from you guys before I say cheers to you all. New York Times says, I also don't really think warm-up matches matter. Last T20 World Cup, SA thrashed New Zealand in warm-up matches. It's correct. Blitz says, I feel bad for Rassi not being picked. Falake says, we should not get our hopes high with half of the batters out of the form, including the captain. This might become the worst World Cup campaign. I think in T20 cricket is just a bit different. I don't think that form is as important in T20 cricket as it is in the other formats, because in this format, anybody can just step up and do a miracle, can have a miracle performance and just be hitting the ball perfectly. I think it's a lot more important for your bowlers to be have rhythm and your bowlers to have that consistency and form than your batters, because I feel in T20 World Cup, any batter can find their form. If you do have a batter that's batting like Reza Hendricks currently and can score consistently, then that is a massive, massive bonus. But I feel that in T20 cricket, form is around the corner. Literally, a good performance is around the corner. Chatir says, considering most players aren't in form, don't have a good feeling about SA like I did during the last year's 50 over World Cup. But in 50 over World Cup, I think that you need form a lot more because it's all about rhythm. You've got a lot more balls to work with. You can't really just go to a swinging and hoping type of you can't really use that type of mentality in ODI cricket. It's a lot. You're bowling. The bowlers obviously also their approaches are different. So I do think that it's a lot easier to find your form in T20 cricket than it is in other formats personally, and I think this team will do so. And Random Fanboy says load shedding coming soon. Like I says, if you think Proteas will win or even reach this final stage of the World Cup, you are truly delusional. Well, I'll be delusional then because I feel that we can. I think the squad is very, very, very talented. And if they do apply themselves, they can. And we can't have any mishaps like we did against the Netherlands the last time out. We need to be, our heads need to be screwed down right. And we should be able to come out of this particular group stage on top. They have the right mentality, they have the right team in this for us to be able to get to the knockout stages. I want to see us reach at least a semi-final. And I think that is very, very, very possible. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please smash the like button, comment, and share. Don't forget to do that. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new and click that notification bell for all future videos. We're getting very, very close to 5,000 subscribers, and we were hoping to get to that mark before the World Cup starts. That would be brilliant. Thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys again very soon with another preview show for the World Cup. We're going to be doing that next. So stay safe, Enjoy the rest of your evening, everybody. And if there's any other pressers released or player interviews or coaches interviews, we will react to it on a show as well. So please click that notification bell and subscribe as well. Thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace out.